A Grammy Award-winning rapper accused of orchestrating a murder-for-hire plot to kill another rapper in retaliation for his longtime friend's murder gets another setback in his case. Durk Banks, better known by his stage name Lil Durk, has been behind bars since October, accused of being the mastermind behind a plot to kill Georgia rapper Quando Rondo, whose real name is Taekwon Bowman. Quando Rondo, along with his sister and cousin, were ambushed and shot at in Los Angeles, California in August of 2022. While Quando Rondo and his sister survived the attack, his cousin was murdered in the hail of gunfire. But that case goes back further than that, as prosecutors say it all stemmed from a 2020 shooting that left another rapper, who was also the close friend and frequent collaborator of Lil Durk, dead.
Chicago rapper Lil Durk could be linked to a second murder-for-hire plot, this time in Chicago. These are images of the gunman who shot and killed Stefan Mack in 2022. Prosecutors say Mack was outside the Youth Peace Center of Roseland when he was gunned down. The FBI linked the two men charged with Mack's murder to Durk using texts and confidential informants. The feds believe this murder was revenge for the death of Lil Durk's brother. To be clear, Lil Durk has not been charged in Mack's murder.
It began with a gunshot, or maybe it began long before that, in the dimly lit rooms where loyalty was forged and the trust was unquestioned. The story of Durk Banks, better known as Lil Durk, is not just one of music, fame, and success. It's a story now entangled with allegations of violence, betrayal, and revenge. The accusations are staggering. Federal prosecutors allege that Banks orchestrated a murder-for-hire plot targeting Taekwon Bowman, known to the world as Quando Rondo, a feud that spiraled into a deadly ambush at a Los Angeles gas station in August 2022. A hail of bullets left Rondo's cousin dead, the world questioning whether this was a random act of violence or a meticulously planned act of vengeance.
Shots fired, a fight taken to the streets, and this chaotic scene, the ending of a shooting that started in Los Angeles, California. Sheriff's deputies pulling out a man who had been shot in an SUV.
But to understand this story, we have to go back to another gunshot. November 6, 2020. A night that left Davon Bennett, known to his fans as King Von, dead. A rapper, a collaborator, a friend. Von's death was the spark. Prosecutors allege that ignited a firestorm of events. A tragedy that, they claim, set Lil Durk on the path of retaliation.
I mean, when you hear
Vons don't last long in this game.
No, man.
They either die or go to jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they ain't no diss.
According to the indictment, the killing wasn't just a moment of chaos. It was the result of a fight escalating into gunfire, taking Von's life and leaving Lil Durk with grief that prosecutors say turned into rage. And from that rage, they claim, a plan was born.
Yeah, and reading through this federal indictment against Lil Durk, it seems like there's a lot of evidence stacked against him, from the text messages to the use of credit cards and other kind of trails of evidence. What do you make of that, given if you are going to orchestrate something terrible like this, that you might try a little harder to kind of cover your tracks?
They say cash is king. You know, when you use electronics and you use credit cards and things of that nature, you're leaving a paper trail all the time.
The federal case paints a picture of calculated movements and coded messages, conversations about bounties cloaked in euphemisms, instructions to co-conspirators to avoid leaving a digital footprint. Yet, ironically, it was the digital footprint that prosecutors allege unraveled the plan. August 2022, prosecutors say Durk's team tracked Quando Rondo to Los Angeles, while Wilson, Jones, Lindsay, and Houston drove and rented cars. Lil Durk and another co-defendant reportedly flew in on a private jet. Hours before the attack, Durk allegedly sent a message instructing a co-conspirator to avoid booking flights under names tied to him. But mistakes were made. Credit cards linked to Durk's label, Only the Family, or OTF, were allegedly used for rentals and purchases tied to the ambush.
That all came to a head nearly 2 years later on August 18th of 2022 when Banks, his alleged co-conspirators and co-defendants tracked down Quando Rondo to Los Angeles. The indictment names Banks' co-defendants as Kevon London Grant, DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, Keith Jones, David Brian Lindsay, and Asa Houston. Prosecutors say on August 18th of 2022, after the men learned where Quando Rondo was in LA, at the direction of Lil Durk, Wilson, Jones, Lindsay, Houston, and another co-conspirator traveled from Chicago to Los Angeles to murder Quando Rondo. Meanwhile, Lil Durk and Kevon Grant traveled on a private jet from Miami to LA allegedly to help coordinate the murder.
The tension reaches its breaking point at a gas station. Under the harsh fluorescent lights, bullets rip through the air. Quando Rondo survives, but his cousin doesn't. The shooters flee into the night, but their actions leave a trail that prosecutors say leads back to Lil Durk. By October 2024, the alleged mastermind's freedom comes to an end. Authorities catch him near Miami International Airport, reportedly attempting to flee the country. His destination, unclear. His intent, under fierce scrutiny. Now behind bars, Durk faces charges that could change the course of his life forever. Conspiracy, murder for hire, use of firearms, and furtherance of violent crime. He pleads not guilty, yet the walls seem to close in. Recently, unsealed affidavits suggest another plot tied to Durk murder for hire, targeting a gangster disciple leader in 2022. Though no charges have been filed in this case, prosecutors used the allegations to deny bail. The result? Durk and his co-defendants remain imprisoned as the trial approaches.
But before we sign you off, though, where do you think that everything kind of goes from here in terms of the trial process? And do you think that an October date will be the October date for the trial?
I think the October date will be the date for the trial unless there's a reason to adjourn it and maybe some attorney scheduling. But from here on out, we're in trial preparation mode. We're interviewing witnesses. We're getting through that discovery. We're exploiting the evidence and essentially saying, and one of the things the prosecution always likes to do is they like to say, this person did this for this reason, when there's a whole separate explanation as to why something may or may not have been done. But you only get that one prosecution vision or side of the story until, as the defense, we're able to tell our own story. And so I'm sure that his attorneys are preparing to tell that story for him.
All right, Safa, again, thank you so much for your insight into this case.
But this story isn't just about a rapper accused of crossing the line from music into murder. It's about the blurred boundaries between art and life, how loyalty, fame, and grief intertwine into something far more complex and far more dangerous. In the courtroom, the defense prepares to challenge what they claim is circumstantial evidence. How do you prove intent when words are vague? When actions can be interpreted in countless ways? And what about the music? Can lyrics and personas born in the studio be used as evidence of real-world intent?
We have a First Amendment right here in the United States, and the freedom of speech and the ability to create art through those lyrics has been used, as an attack on that First Amendment right and privilege. Now, it may not be as much of a protected speech as other forms of speech, but that's an issue here. Artists want to be able to create without having to defend themselves for their creations later. But I do expect that the government is going to try to take that angle in this case.
And I have to ask, say Lil Durk is your client, what kind of defenses are you going to be using, especially in a federal trial case like this?
In a case like this, if I was Durk's attorney, my client is not as involved as the government would like them to allege. All my client does here is he's a rapper. He runs this organization, but it's an organization that's geared towards music and in the music industry.
The questions pile up. Was this a calculated plot for revenge or the tragic consequence of a chaotic lifestyle? Was Lil Durk the mastermind the prosecution claims, or a man caught in a storm beyond his control? As the trial looms, the world watches. Fans of Lil Durk, followers of Quando Rondo, and those who simply can't look away from the collision of fame and infamy. The courtroom will decide one man's fate, but the story will echo far beyond its walls. In this saga of loyalty and loss of ambition and accusation, one truth rises above the rest. Nothing is as simple as it seems. All right, y'all, there y'all have it. Man, get in the comment section, man. Let me know what y'all think about Durk, man. Y'all think they gonna have him locked up like they had Thug just to, overturn and give him his freedom? Or do you think this boy is like done? Get in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Drillers and trappers, we out here trapping and drilling 247. Don't go nowhere. Watch the next video. Gang!